DaBaby has been all over the web lately, and not for reasons I'm sure he would like. As the age-old saying goes, any publicity is good publicity. But if you ask DaBaby right now, I'm sure he would disagree. Blogs have been clowning him the last few weeks on how his shows are no longer selling out like they used to, and even stating that he's selling buy one, get one tickets. I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com, and in today's episode of The Dark Side of Rap, we'll cover the slow fall of DaBaby. But before we get started, don't forget to smash that like button. Liking and sharing the video is the best way to help us to continue to grow as a channel. But with that being said, let's jump right in. Born Jonathan Lindell Kirk, DaBaby hit the scene in 2019 with his debut studio album, Baby on Baby. And even though he was quote-unquote taking rap seriously ever since 2014, his career seemed to take off once he signed with Interscope Records. Baby on Baby debuted at number 25 on the Billboard 200 charts, earning him a spot on the cover of XXL as part of the freshman class for 2019. In a time where lots of rappers, let's be honest, kinda sound the same, DaBaby had a flow that was unique and unlike anything that you had heard. And throughout 2019, he was basically the Rookie of the Year. Everybody wanted a feature, including on Megan Thee Stallion's Cash Shit and Quality Control's DaBaby. Well, not DaBaby, but the song was called Baby. Both of which reached top 40 on the Billboard Hot 100. He was even on Dreamville's compilation album, Revenge of the Dreamers 3, which resulted in high praise of his efforts. Some publications even went as far as to claim that it was the best verse of 2019, which was obviously arguable, but what wasn't arguable was his rocket ship ascension to the top of the game. And wanting to capitalize on the momentum, on August 2019, he announced that his second album titled Kirk, which was a tribute to his last name, will be releasing soon. In a game where you can be here today and gone tomorrow, no one can guarantee how long you're going to be around, so it's smart to be on your hustle and work as much as possible. Not to mention DaBaby was signed to like 2 or 3 different labels, so I'm sure he wanted to bust moves so that he could satisfy all the hands that was in his pocket and still be able to put something back for himself. Kirk dropped on September 27th. Now mind you, his first album, Baby on Baby, dropped on March of that same year, so to drop another studio album showed that he was not only hungry, but dropping enough heat for Interscope to have the fate to do 2 album releases in 1 year for him. Kirk's lead single, Intro, peaked at number 13 on the charts, and DaBaby was still getting high-profile features like Post Malone's Enemies, YG's Stop Snitching, Lizzo's Truth Hurts, and Lil Nas X's Panini, which is super ironic considering what comes later along in this story, but we'll get to that. Despite all the success that he had experienced so far, he was never a stranger to controversy. And in fact, just prior to even releasing his debut album, Baby on Baby, he was involved in a shooting inside a Walmart in Huntsville, North Carolina that left 1 kid out of there. In a profanity-laced Instagram tirade, the rapper alleged that Craig, the guy who was shot, and another man had robbed him while brandishing a weapon and threatening his family. And while initially DaBaby was charged with murder, the charges were eventually lowered to a misdemeanor of carrying a concealed weapon after security footage from inside the Walmart backed up his story that he was in fact forced to shoot the kid in self-defense. In January of 2020, DaBaby was detained and questioned for his connection to a robbery investigation. According to TMZ, the rapper and multiple members of his crew jumped the music promoter for only paying him $20,000 out of the $30,000 that he was owed. The reports allege that DaBaby stole a credit card, an iPhone 7, and $80 from the promoter's pockets, even though he was never actually charged with robbery. After spending only 48 hours in the Miami-Dade County Jail, the rapper was released and charged with battery for his involvement. But later that year in March, DaBaby slapped a female fan on his way to the stage one day. The incident resulted in him getting booed off stage and leaving the venue without even performing any songs. DaBaby later took to Instagram to issue a public apology, claiming that all he knew was that somebody had a phone flash too close to his face. So he decided to swing on him. And he was unaware that it was a girl on the other end of his rap. Which sounds like a pretty lame excuse to me, but by now I think it was safe to say that DaBaby often woke up and chose violence. Meanwhile, online public disputes with him and his then girlfriend, Danny Lee, culminated in a blowout argument on live that saw her screaming her head off at him as he verbally disrespected her. The altercation would lead to him later getting into it with Danny Lee's brother. DaBaby and members of his crew were filmed jumping Brandon Carell, her brother, in a bowling alley. The footage showed DaBaby's goons in a fight that reminded you a lot like a baby deer learning to walk on a frozen pond as they attempted to jade a guy on the slick floors. Up until this point, most people simply overlooked all of the eccentricities of DaBaby, perhaps writing it off as the antics of a lovably crazy rapper. But in July of 2021, all this changed when he ran afoul of the LGBT mafia. During this set at Rolling Loud, he made some comments about AIDS and activities in the parking lot. I won't really go into detail. If you hadn't seen what he said exactly, it's all over the web. And I won't repeat it because I don't want nobody coming after me. But he tried to apologize, but they wanted nothing of it and set out for blood. Tons of festivals started removing him from their lineups, including Lollapalooza, Governor's Ball, Parklife Festival, Day in Vegas, Austin City Limits, Music Meltdown, and the iHeartRadio Music Festival. It seemed like his armor had been breached, and the helium of popularity that saw him rise to the top of the game was spewing out all over the place. But not to fear, he was still willing to show his characteristic propensity for violence, though. On April 13, 2022, cops confirmed the guy was shot outside his house in North Carolina. It's unclear if he had any involvement or not, but charges were never filed against him, so I guess not. There was also video footage of him swinging on one of his own artists backstage at a show. Details of what sparked his ire in this case remained unclear, but by now, it looked like it didn't really take much to bring DaBaby to blows. Recently, the internet was on DaBaby again as word came out that he was performing at Iron City in Birmingham, Alabama on a steel. The venue is said to be one of the city's smallest spots, holding only 1,300 people. And photos show fans can get 2 tickets for the price of 1 at as low as $22 plus a $5.92 fee. This would spark speculation that he was falling off, a claim that he would try to dispute by posting videos attempting to poke fun at his own situation. But the real question remains, is DaBaby falling off? In 2019, he was all over the place. 2 albums featured on everyone's song and gaining commercial popularity. But honestly speaking though, I wouldn't say that DaBaby is falling off the way a Smoke Perp is falling off. Perp was struggling to fill venues way smaller than the one DaBaby was playing. And that's putting it lightly. I mean, there was videos of like 10 people in the building. DaBaby has posted videos showing some pretty good sized crowds still. But on the other hand, it's nowhere near the level of popularity that he had a few years ago or the trajectory that he was headed on. That's why I titled the video, The Slow Fall. Sometimes, rappers are here today and gone tomorrow, like I said earlier, in the blink of an eye. And other times, it's a slow fade into obscurity. Now you could argue that it was cancel culture that popped his balloon, or the fact that fans began to grow tired of his flow that over time began to sound like the same song on different beats, even though he did attempt to make it a bit more dynamic on his latest album. But either way, DaBaby didn't really help himself with all the altercations that he's been in over the years. But what makes this worthy of a Dark Side series is the warning that the tale provides. It's an example of how the game has no love. One day you can be at the top of your craft, and the next you persona non grata. And there's really no blueprint to avoiding it either. Plenty of rappers that were once on fire suddenly got doused with water and left hung out wet. Word to the wise, save and invest, my brother. Save and invest. But what do you think? Is DaBaby out of there, or can he make a comeback? Hit us up in the comment section and let us know. Also, if you enjoyed the video, then don't forget to smash that like button. Liking and sharing the video is the best way to get the YouTube algorithms to notice us and in turn suggest us to more people. And if you want to be updated whenever we drop a new episode, then hit the subscribe button and then the notification bell. This way, you'll be dinged whenever a new video drops. But with that being said, I'm Nate the Great from TakeFlight214.com signing out. Until next time, peace.